Welcome once again to your favorite channel, your favorite marriage channel. This is Agre once more. Today I've come to give you 3 secrets that will make your marriage successful. Now, of course, there are many secrets. The list is so big, but today I want to give you only 3. I want you to go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and share this message. Invite somebody. As we build successful marriages, I want you to know building successful marriages is work. It is hard work. We can't just stop at one thing or two. We must continue doing something to make sure our marriages are successful. But here are 3 things that you need to know and understand when you are building a successful marriage. Number 1 is tolerance. Now, what is tolerance? Tolerance is understanding that your spouse is imperfect, is an imperfect being. You see, what most people don't understand is that marriage brings together two imperfect individuals. That is a man and the wife. These are 2 imperfect individuals. So when you understand that your spouse is imperfect, and you too, you have got your own imperfections, then when you understand that, then you must develop what we call tolerance. Becoming a support for each other. Instead of having to look at your spouse's weaknesses and then you blame them for the mistakes and for the errors they do every day, you are seeking to become a support. You are seeking to cover them up, to cover their errors. That is what we call tolerance. Now, most couples that have made it, they will tell you, I learned to oversee mistakes, the mistakes of my wife, the mistakes of my husband. Why? Because they know that today you are in the mistake, tomorrow she's don't go to be in the mistake. So if you take advantage of my mistake today, what happens when you fall into a mistake tomorrow? You see, that means if we don't understand that we are imperfect beings, then we shall always be in the cat and mouse games all the time, piling games on one another. But the moment we understand that we are imperfect beings that have come together to support one another, to build on each other's strength, not weaknesses. In other words, in your spouse's weakness, you are their strength. That provides security. And that builds trust. And those 2, any successful marriage cannot live without them, cannot succeed without them. So I want to encourage you, learn to understand that marriage has brought you together with an imperfect being, with an imperfect individual, with an imperfect spouse, and you too, you are imperfect, and you need to tolerate one another to make sure you are building a successful marriage. So tolerance is something that you need to consider from today. If you have been looking at the mistakes of your spouse, understand that you too has got mistakes. So that is number 1, tolerance. Very important that you need to consider if you are going to build a successful marriage. And number 2, empathy. These are values that are very important. Empathy. Now, empathy is when you stand in someone's shoes to try to understand the pain. I mean, you want also to imagine the experience of the other person when you stand in their position. For example, I remember when we gave birth to our firstborn, my wife went through a lot of pain, and she was operated on, and I was there and I saw the pain that she went through at Nsambi Hospital, and I couldn't imagine the pain that she went through. It lived with me for some time. So when it came to having our second born, I took a fast and prayed and said, Lord, I pray that my wife will not go through that same pain again. Why? I became empathetic. I could feel what she felt. I could feel the pain that she felt. So every moment you as a spouse, you position yourself in the other person's shoes, then you are able to feel what they feel. You are able to really understand their pain, their distress, even their joy. And that really helps you to relate with them with an experience of what they feel in a certain position. you will not, for example, when you understand, when you become empathetic, the result is you become supportive, you become an encouraging person instead of becoming a castigating person. So empathy is very, very, very important for couples that want to build happy relationships. You know, imagine her position at workplace. Imagine her position in waking in the morning, feeding the children, bathing the children, washing their clothes, all these kind of work. Suppose you are in that position to do all of them. Would you still be demanding of what you're demanding from them? You would instead be empathetic, you would be understanding. Empathetic really helps you to be more understanding. And man, you need an understanding spouse. If you could get an understanding spouse, then you're going to build a happy and successful marriage. Number 3, always do your part. Always do your best to play your part. Always do your best to play your part. Now, most spouses don't understand what their duties are in the marriage. That's very dangerous. The Bible says that where there is lack of knowledge, there is destruction. So, the moment as a spouse, as a wife, as a husband, you need to understand your responsibilities in your home, in your marriage, your responsibilities towards your couple, and make sure you are doing your part. This is what I normally tell couples: make sure you are doing your part. When you don't do your part, that means you are leaving a room for someone to blame you. But I normally I encourage couples who are even in marriages that are conflicting. Make sure you do your part best. Play your responsibility very well, so that even when the marriage, when things do not work out well, and you have to dissolve the marriage, you will never at any one time blame yourself for not doing what you're supposed to do. So I love doing what I'm supposed to do. I love make sure I provide for my family. I love to make sure that I have to be there for my children, be there for my wife. I have to make sure I am doing whatever that I need to do as a husband and as a father in my home. So if there is anything that is happening beyond what I'm supposed to do, I'm not responsible for that. And in any case, if this marriage doesn't work, then I have done my part. I've played my part. So success will also come from knowing your responsibility and playing it very well. Those 3 things are good to go. You can start from there and build a happy and successful marriage. As usual, this is your marriage counselor. Please go ahead and subscribe. Love you all.